3 words stopped me cold outside that door. She won't notice. I had my hand on the handle of the supply closet, 1 cup of burnt break room coffee going cold in my other hand, and Rolf's voice slid through the gap like smoke under a doorframe. Low, careless. The voice of a man who thinks the walls at Belmont Wealth Partners belong only to him. The escrow reconciliation, he said. Just shift it before the compliance audit. Nobody's cross-checking custodial statements this quarter. I didn't breathe. My badge, the one that says Amber Doyle, partner, sat crooked against my blazer, and for 1 long second I stared at my own name like it belonged to someone else. Then I walked away before he caught me listening, because some instincts you don't question, you just obey them. That was the day the floor started tilting under Belmont, and I didn't even know it yet. 12 years I'd spent inside financial planning offices by then, and I could read a room of clients the way other people read weather. I knew the exact pause before someone admits they've been living paycheck to paycheck, despite the leased car in the driveway. I knew how to walk a widow through a beneficiary designation without making her cry twice in one meeting. Belmont ran on that kind of trust, or it was supposed to. Let me back up. 6 years earlier, Ralph Ostrander and I built this firm out of a rented office above a dry cleaner, 2 mismatched desks, and a shared dream of doing right by clients other advisors had written off. My name went first on the door. His went second. We split everything 50-50 on paper and in practice, or so I believed, with the kind of stupid, stubborn faith you only get from someone you trusted completely. The first business card I ever had printed sits in a drawer at home. Crean stock, navy ink, Amber Doyle, wealth advisor, Belmont Partners. I remember holding it under the office light the day it arrived, running my thumb along the raised lettering like it was proof I existed. Proof that the girl who grew up watching her mother juggle 2 jobs and a stack of unpaid bills had built something that couldn't be taken from her. I was wrong about that. Painfully, expensively wrong. 2 weeks after the closet, I found the first document. Not on purpose, I was searching for a client's fee disclosure and stumbled into a shared drive folder labeled with almost insulting plainness, Q3 adjustments do not circulate. Inside sat a forensic accounting summary I'd never seen, never signed off on, never even been told existed. Client withdrawals routed through an intermediary account. Trailing commissions redirected, a non-compete clause quietly amended, my non-compete, tightened, dated 3 months back, my signature on it forged in a hand that almost matched mine, but leaned wrong on the D. My stomach dropped somewhere around my shoes. I sat there in the glow of that monitor a long time. The office empty around me, the HVAC ticking overhead like a clock counting down to something I couldn't stop. I called Jason that night. Jason Marlowe. We'd dated briefly in our 20s, stayed friends the way 2 smart, cautious people sometimes do, and he'd become exactly the kind of attorney you want on your side when the ground opens up. Sharp, careful, allergic to drama, protective in the quiet way that never announces itself. "Read me the account numbers again," he said, not even a hello first. "Jason, Amber, the numbers." I read them. On the other end, I heard him typing, fast, the particular rhythm of someone building a case in real time. "This isn't sloppy," he said finally. "This is deliberate. Someone planned this months out." "Ralph," I said, and the name tasted like metal. "You don't know that yet." "I know it," I said. "I know his handwriting. I know how he holds a pen when he's lying to a client's face and smiling the whole time." Jason went quiet for a second. "Then we build the case the boring way. Documents, Timestamps. No confrontation until we have enough that he can't talk his way out of it. And until then? And until then, he said, you keep showing up like you don't know anything. That was the hardest part, harder than the fraud itself somehow. Sitting across from Ralph on the Tuesday client meetings, watching him charm Mr. Castellano about his retirement allocation, watching him laugh at his own joke about market volatility, all while I sat there holding a folder of proof in my mind like a live wire. "You've been quiet lately," he said to me, stirring sugar into coffee he didn't need. "Everything all right, partner?" "Fine, just tired." You work too hard." He smiled, and I studied that smile the way you study a photograph after someone's died, looking for something you missed the 100th time. 3 weeks in, Jason found the account that broke the case wide open, an intermediary LLC registered in Ralph's brother-in-law's name, receiving a percentage skim off every account transfer Belmont processed. Small enough to hide in a footnote, large enough over 18 months to have quietly siphoned nearly $400,000. "There's more," Jason said, and something in his voice made my hands go cold before he even finished. "There's a print shop downtown." "Print shop for what?" "Won't know until I see the delivery manifest. Could be marketing collateral, could be nothing." He paused. "Could be something you'll want to see for yourself before I put it in a filing and it stops being just yours to look at." That single line kept me up half the night, turning it over the way you turn over a stone you already suspect has something ugly underneath. I drove to the office that night with my headlights cutting through fog like a knife through gauze, and I let myself in with the key I'd had cut 6 years ago, back when this place still felt like mine. The box sat on Ralph's desk, unopened, a courier label still stuck to the top flap. My hands shook, peeling the tape. Inside, crisp navy cards, same font family I'd chosen years ago, same raised lettering, except the name read Ralph Ostrander, founder, Belmont Wealth Partners. No Doyle, no partner, just my 6 years, quietly deleted, replaced with a title that had never once been true. I stood there under the fluorescent hum for what felt like an hour, staring at a stack of 500 lies stacked in perfect little rows. "So that's the plan," I said out loud, to nobody. My voice cracked right down the middle. "Erase me first, steal second." I didn't cry, not then. I got angrier than I'd ever let myself get. The kind of anger that turns into ice instead of fire, cold and clear and useful. I took one card, just one, slid into my coat pocket like evidence, and I left the rest exactly as I found them. If you've ever had to rebuild something from nothing, you already know exactly where this story is going. "You can walk away with a settlement," Jason told me 2 days later, spreading documents across my kitchen table like a hand of cards he was finally ready to play. "Or you can fight for the client list too. But Amber, that's slower, messier." "How much slower?" "Months. Maybe longer with the Form ADV amendments and regulatory notifications alone." I looked down at that single stolen business card, still sitting on my counter where I'd dropped it 3 nights running, like I couldn't decide what it meant yet. "I don't want a settlement," I said. "I want my name back, my real one, not stitched onto his." Jason studied me for a long moment, the kind of look that isn't pity, isn't romance either, just recognition. "Then we do this the hard way." "Good," I said. I was never scared of hard. The compliance filing took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of depositions, of Ralph's lawyer trying to paint the intermediary LLC as a reasonable operational structure, of nights where I sat with Jason poring over custodial statements until the numbers blurred into static behind my eyes. I did my own pass too, the way I'd been trained to do, years back, before any of this, reconciling every custodial statement against the client ledgers myself, line by line, flagging discrepancies the regulator's own auditor later confirmed almost to the dollar. There's a strange comfort in spreadsheets when your whole life has gone sideways. Rows and columns don't lie to you, don't smile while they're doing it. Your numbers match theirs almost exactly, the compliance examiner told me on a call in week 4, a note of genuine surprise in her voice. Most whistleblower packages we get are half this clean. I've been doing fiduciary work for 15 years, I said. I know what a clean ledger looks like. This wasn't one. Ralph tried calling me twice. I let both go to voicemail. The third time, he showed up at my apartment, standing on the landing in the rain like a man who genuinely believed charm could still fix this. "Amber, come on, we built this together." "You built an exit plan," I said through the chained door. "I built the firm." "It's not what it looks like." "I have the print order, Ralph." My voice didn't shake this time. That surprised me more than it surprised him. "Amber, please, 20 years from now, none of this." 20 years from now, I said, cutting him off, calm in a way that scared even me. "I'll still have my name on my own door. Will you?" I closed the door before he could answer. Not slammed, just closed, quiet and final, the way you close a ledger once the numbers finally balance. Denise, my old assistant at Belmont, called me the week the settlement finalized. She'd quit 2 days after Ralph's name hit the local business page. I always wondered why he made me reprint the client-facing folders in October. New letterhead, new everything. He told me it was a brand refresh. It was a wipe, just a slow one. I should have said something. You didn't know what you were looking at, neither did I for 6 years. Come work for me instead. Real title this time. Nothing borrowed. She laughed, wet and surprised. "Yeah, okay, yeah." 3 months later, I sat at a folding table in a rented office 2 blocks from Belmont, a space barely bigger than that first one above the dry cleaner, and I opened a small box that had arrived that morning. New cards. Cream stock again, because some things you keep, but the ink had changed to deep forest green, and the name read Amber Doyle, founder, Doyle Wealth Strategies. Not partner, not borrowed, founder. In full, spelled out like a fact instead of a hope. I called Mr. Castellano first. He'd been my client for 4 years, and Belmont's compliance mess made the local financial press 2 weeks earlier, quietly, but enough. "I heard some things," he said carefully, "about the old firm." "They're mostly true," I told him. "No spin, no script. I'm starting fresh. Different name, same fiduciary duty I've always held to you. If you want to move your assets under management, I'll walk you through every step personally." Silence on the line, long enough that my chest went tight. "Send me the paperwork," he said finally. "And Amber, send me one of those new cards too. I like knowing who I'm actually working with these days." I drove to his office that afternoon and handed it to him myself. Cream card between 2 fingers, my own name catching the light without anyone else's name crowding it out. He turned it over once, studying the raised lettering the way I had years back in a different office with a different partner. "Forest green," he said. "Suits you better than navy ever did." "Funny," I said. "I thought so too." 2 more clients followed within the week. A young couple refinancing their first home purchase, and a retired school teacher who'd been with me since my very first year in the industry. Neither asked about Belmont directly. They didn't need to. They'd read the same regulator's notice everyone else had, buried 3 paragraphs deep in the business section, and they'd made their minds quietly, the way people usually do about who they actually trust. Word moved faster than I expected. Belmont's compliance troubles kept surfacing. A regulator's inquiry here, a disgruntled client review there, while Doyle Wealth Strategies picked up exactly the kind of quiet, steady momentum built on trust instead of noise. No flashy launch, no aggressive pitch, just clients calling other clients, the oldest form of marketing there is. Jason helped me finalize the settlement in October. Full restitution on the diverted commissions, a permanent restriction on Ralph managing client assets without third-party oversight, and language in the agreement so airtight even his lawyer stopped arguing halfway through the final read. "You did that," Jason said, the two of us sharing gas station coffee in his car outside the courthouse, rain streaking sideways across the windshield. "Not me. I just wrote it down." "You believed the numbers before I could even say his name out loud," I said. "That's not nothing, Jason." He looked at me a beat too long, then looked away first, which told me everything I needed to know about a man who never oversells anything, even his own feelings. By December, Doyle Wealth Strategies had onboarded 11 of Belmont's former clients, quietly outpacing Ralph's assets under management for the first time since the split. I didn't celebrate loudly. I don't think I even told the exact number, except Jason, over dinner, the two of us laughing about how small the milestone looked on paper and how enormous it felt in my chest. 11 clients, Jason said, raising his glass of water like it was champagne. "That's the whole revenge plot?" "I never wanted a revenge plot," I said. "I wanted my name back on something real." "Turns out," he said, "you were always going to land on your feet. Ralph just sped up the timeline." Denise stopped by the office 2 days before Christmas with a card of her own, not the business kind, the paper kind, snowflakes on the front. Inside, she'd written 3 words, "Real title suits you." I pinned it above my desk, right next to the framed photo of that first cracked linoleum office, and left it there through the new year. My new card sits on my desk now, propped against a framed photo of that first cracked linoleum office. Cream stock, forest green ink, my name spelled out complete and unshared. Some mornings I still pick it up and run my thumb along the raised lettering, the same habit from 6 years ago, except this time nothing about it is borrowed. I heard secondhand that Belmont brought in an outside compliance officer this spring, a permanent fixture now under the settlement terms. Ralph still runs the place, technically, but every wire transfer, every custodial statement, every account transfer request routes through someone whose only job is making sure nobody quietly reroutes anything ever again. I didn't ask for that out of spite. I asked for it because I know exactly how quiet a theft can be when nobody's required to double-check the math. If Ralph thought erasing my name off a piece of cardstock could erase 6 years of work, he learned the hard way just how wrong that math was. Next time, I'll tell you about the client who almost didn't believe me and the voicemail that changed everything.